Welcome back to the Control Live Lounge. We are here at Autosport International in the NEC, and we are talking all things fuel, events and motorsport with Axel from Anglo American Oil Company. You get to work with a lot of events and series, and drivers, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. We've done a lot of things over the past. One of our main things that gets us out to all the circuit events is the fuel services that we provide. So that could be control fuel service for the likes of British GT, GB4, GB3, Radical, Minis, all these top-end championships that they use the same tyres, and there's lots of regulations. We keep things fair, we keep it safe, we transport the fuel to the events, and we do all the testing to make sure nobody's cheating, to make sure that everyone's on a level playing field. We do that. We also provide kind of mobile fuel stations at classic events, service events like Goodwood Festival of Speed, in the Revival, obviously in the background of things. That's what mostly gets us to the event, and then the other things are kind of mail order items. I guess we sell through dealers, other distributors and garages and so on.
Okay, so that's quite a wide range of motorsport and automotive you work with. I know you from the drift world, really. What's your favourite?
Well, obviously drifting is way more fun than working, if that's what you mean.
But which mode of motorsport is your personal favourite, I would say?
Right now, I think it's drifting. I grew up watching my father compete when I was younger.
Drifting?
Not drifting.
Okay.
I didn't even know what drifting was then. He was racing TVR Tuscans, Renault Spiders, and he had a replica, a GT40 that he used to drive in Sweden. And then I did some go-karting when I was, I guess, from the age of between, 11 and 15, at the Honda Cadet, TKM, Rotax things. And then the business kind of kicked off. So it started getting very expensive at the level I wanted to compete at, and the business was a start-up business. It wasn't making lots of money, and it didn't seem fair to spend so much money when my dad couldn't even be there to watch most of the times. So that kind of took a break, and then we didn't really do anything ourselves through motorsport. And then it was only, I'd say 6 years ago. Obviously the company at a place where there is a bit of money to invest, and that's when we got finally dabbled in a bit of drifting. We sponsored a lot of drivers. A lot of them we just kind of see at the Autosport show. People like Bagsy, Darren McNamara, I'd known them through sponsorships and things, and those, we had some good contacts when we decided to do it, and it's kind of spiraled, and now 6 years later, doing a lot, competing, doing competitive drifting, building demo cars, and but of course, I think if we had the budget to go race circuit racing, I'd love to do that. I'm sure it'd be just as fun as drifting. Anything is fun when it's got four wheels and a petrol engine. But at the moment, drifting is different. It's quite good because it's kind of different from what we're supplying a lot of the products to as well. And it's fun. We can build it all ourselves and a bit more relaxed. Certainly a lot more cheaper as well.
Yeah, of course. Yes, it's probably one of the most accessible ways to get started.
I'd say so. It's got more and more expensive, as with everything, and a lot of people would look at it and go, yeah, that is a lot of money, but you just walk around here and there's some seriously expensive things you can buy.
Of course.
Which makes us look, super cheap.
Talking about drifting, what's your take on the current status of drift, where it's at the moment? I think a few years ago we had 3 different race drift series, and now...
Yeah, it's at a really strange stage. It's a bit of a roller coaster ride at the moment with drifting. It's popular. It's never been as popular from a viewership point. People like Ken Block and getting everyone, and even more now, obviously with the sad news of his passing.
Yeah.
Even people want to watch. People have short attention spans, and they want to watch drifting online and go to events. It's big, but at the same time, the cost has got really expensive. I think it's driven some of the drivers out. And then obviously the mix of championships probably didn't help, and at the moment it seems like we were doing really, really great. It's always obviously had the talk of drifting the fastest growing motorsport, which seems to have been acclaimed for a long time. I'm not sure that is true anymore, but it felt like we were on a good path, and now it seems a bit confused as to where it's going to go. We've got some good new championships. There's one called Drift Pro that I'm part of. It's quite low driver numbers, and it mixes it in with time attack events, which is quite cool. So you've got the circuit racing and drifting at the same events, whereas before it's always been one or the other.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. The big crowds, I think you get like 10,000 people come to those events. They're at big circuits, high speeds. I think in most track, I think there's only one where we're not pushing 100 mile an hour entries, which is a lot higher than the go-kart tracks that you're used to driving on. Of
course.
So there's loads of really good things, and then obviously loads of negative things, like with the British Drift Championship going under, essentially. Many different reasons. The internet will tell you one thing, which is certainly not true.
It's probably not true, yeah.
But in reality, it's not enough money coming in, not too much money going out, I think is what we did it in the end.
But I mean, salute to BDC for pushing things forward and really trying to get to the next level.
Yeah.
But I think you talked about Drift Pro. Is it the case that they have the Motorsport UK recognition?
That's
quite
correct.
good for Drift to get that.
Yeah. I think in the past, MS UK in the last few years have been looking at Drift, and it's something they want to be involved with. I think other previous organisers have been scared to get involved because they see it as a scary. They don't want to give away their control in a way, I think. I think it's probably the best way of looking at it. They see it as these guys in white shirts that don't really look like us, and they might put some rules in that, restrict what we do. But from what I've seen with Drift Pro is, they understand that the future of race fans really like drifting, and it's something that they need to do. And so they're learning. They might at the moment, everything, but most MS UK stewards probably don't really understand what drifting is still, but they're all interested, and they're definitely not trying to make things worse. I think it's going to help, and but the one big thing is it's opened us to have these really cool tracks. Cadwell Park, Snetterton, Alton Park, Brands Hatch, Donington. Oh, these are amazing tracks that we can only dream of, and we only got to drive them on demo events. So to actually do competition and do twinning on them at those high speeds, it's cool. Cadwell Park is unbelievable, especially.
Talking about demo events, obviously we know you from Goodwood.
Yeah. So
talk about. I mean, you must. Is that like the pinnacle of your calendar?
Yeah. I think so. It's a super cool event. Anyone who's not been to the Festival of Speed or any event at Goodwood, you have to go. It's like Disneyland for motorsport enthusiasts. Yeah. It's got everything under the sun. Yeah. You can see Formula 1 cars, NASCARs, rally cars, drift cars, strange pre-war machines like that Beast of Turin that shoots flames, and it's epic, and it's very exclusive. So again, a bit like Autosport, we've done that event probably 20 years. So I remember going to my first one when I was 7 and going around asking autographs, and I'd never thought I'd be able to drive there. So to have driven it, first we've done Speed Week, 2 Festival of Speeds, and we even got to drive Goodwood Members Meeting, which was like quite a last-minute decision, and I think it was a bit of a gamble that they'd have us. But seeing everyone kind of dressed up in tweed and in the background, and then we're just like hooning, and they're just like, I thought they'd turn their nose over, but everyone was loving it, and it was such a strange, but it just worked somehow. And then people come looking at the cars, and they're different and really enthusiastic. And that was,
what's it like going up the hill, in the way that you go up the hill?
It's terrifying. It's really narrow. So I mean, going up it fast or drifting, it's probably both just as scary. Obviously, we're kind of on the edge of crashing the whole way up the hill. But because we're kind of on that edge, we know that we're on the edge. Whereas if you're racing, you're going fast, and it suddenly catches you out, and it happens very quick. So I'm glad that I'd already done it previously in the car, the S14, which I drive in the competitions and have a lot of experience in. I can drive that quite well. Because when we built the Corvette, which we basically built for Festival of Speed, because they couldn't just keep sending me up in my 20-year-old rusty Nissan that looks good from 10, 15 meters. When COVID ended, that allowed all the international drivers. So we built this special car, the rotary swapped Corvette, which that's a big task, and it was untested. We finished it basically the day before.
Of course.
It's like doing your homework. It works best when you're on a tight deadline.
Yep.
We did some Goodwood let us do a couple of figure of eights. And then it was just like, next thing we're lining up on this driveway with, like, I don't know, 100,000 people maybe, all with their phones as well. So like, if you crashed, it was
live.
It was going to be embarrassing.
Yep.
And you couldn't drive slow. So you just had to gun it. So I just revved out flat out second, just did the biggest burnout, tried to keep the speeds down, and by doing as much burnouts and donuts as you could, and somehow made up to the top. And you get to top and you're just like,
So seriously, you're saying build complete, few figure eights, up the hill.
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, and
to learn how it even feels to drive.
And it's left-hand drive, and I've never driven left-hand drive drift cars.
Word.
So it went surprisingly well, I'd say. Like, obviously the first run looked sketchy, and it was, because it was terrifying, and but that made it so much more rewarding when you got to the top. And then you get to the top, and you've got, you know, all these famous drivers in their like crazy cars, because you have two runs. One of them we go up with it's like I think it's like they call it I'm not sure if it's the best of, but it's like it's the biggest variation class, and you can have NASCARs, Formula 1 cars, Indy cars, rally cars, drift cars,
yeah, right.
everything, and you get to top, and you bumping fists with some like legends. They've just gone up, and then seen us just go up, smoke the whole place up.
What the Corvette's epic, by the way. Looks amazing. What made you choose that particular build?
So we wanted to do something completely different.
Yeah.
Something that nobody's done on this side of the pond, at least. So they're very popular in America. I'd been eyeing one up for a long time. My friend Dave Egan, you might know from Drift Games, they have a YouTube channel. They built one during COVID.
Right.
So I followed that build, had a lot of advice. Very similar spec, but they kept the V8 engine, so I knew I couldn't do the same car. So we've got to do an engine swap that nobody's done, something I've always wanted to do. And yeah, we actually were going to put a Skyline engine, the RB25, and you can make that into 28, and you get 1,000 horsepower, and it sounds really good, different to the V8, it would stand out. We set this plan in motion, got the car, stripped it, and then the engine wouldn't fit. It was too big. So the Corvette, the V8, everyone says, oh, the V8 is going to have loads of room. The V8's massive, 6 litre. They're actually quite compact, and they're not very tall because of the V formation. So there was not much that could fit in that engine bay, and you couldn't have it sticking out the bonnet because that would look terrible. I wanted it to look like a Corvette until you started it, and then what about a rotary engine? I've seen Mad Mike got Festival of Speed in it, and they sound insane. Everyone wants a rotary engine. Everyone's too scared about the maintenance.
Yeah.
I thought, well, if we can make this work, this is going to be cool. People are definitely going to like it. And we just rang up a company, got the engine, and then it was just like flat out for a few months trying to get it built.
I was going to say, how long did it take?
Yeah, we bought the car in, I think it was about September. I drove it around. It was a lovely little road car. Kept it for a while, and then stripped it over Christmas break. We put a roll cage in it and some of the kind of basic bolt-on like steering on, so we could roll it.
Yeah.
And then, I think it was about March time we really started working on it. The engine was ordered and turned up. I think it was the end of April, and then we had like 2 months essentially, and there was a lot of things that needed to go to special people, like for fabrication on the exhausts, wiring, paint, and so on. So it was a lot of people pulled together to make it happen, and I can't even believe like it actually happened, and it was last year, and it works. So.
Has it been reliable?
Yeah, I'd say so. The engine's bullet. Nothing's gone wrong with that. That was the easiest thing. So we got it turned up as like a crate engine. We just needed to plumb it all in and wire it, and there was a lot of fabrication, but it's all been pretty good. We're making a lot of power, and it keeps breaking one part of like the clutch, the driveline, but we were upgrading that for next year, and then apart from that, it's been pretty good. Like we got pretty lucky.
Cool.
Not lucky, we did think about it a little bit.
Speaking of ambitious builds and putting the wrong engine in the wrong car, behind us is obviously Bagsy's Navara R, and behind that is the GTR. Yeah. Tell us about your work with Bagsy.
Yeah, so Bagsy, It's something I've known him for, like, as a person for a while before we became friends. He actually approached us because he needed some race fuel, and I think he was doing something for Top Gear at the time, and that was a good way. Oh, we're going to be on Top Gear.
Yeah.
And we became friends with him, and he's helped me get into drifting. Obviously gone to watch him at Festival of Speed, and the GTR is probably quite a big inspiration to the kind of idea of the Corvette.
Yeah.
Because like my Corvette, it wasn't built with competition in mind. It was built with just building something crazy that can be used for demos, that kills tires, and then like he has a different car for competing in. So yeah, that was a bit of inspiration. Again, putting a different engine in, something that get the purists back up. Putting a V8 in a GTR.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. Putting a rotor engine in a car that should have a V8. And then the Navara, super cool. To be honest, when he pitched the idea, I was like...
I was going to say, yeah, did you think you'd get that done, the Navara? Like, why?
I knew he'd get it done eventually, but I couldn't really have the vision for it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a Navara truck. It's not that cool truck. It's not a big American truck.
I've got a Navara. None taken.
No, sorry. But, as far as trucks go, there's bigger, better, cooler stuff to begin with.
Just being emasculated here.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. But I've been in it. It was savage. It looks really cool when it's done. I've obviously never kind of seen a lowered Navara like that with a body kit, so you don't really know what to expect. And yeah, it's really cool. And hopefully look forward to doing a bit of maybe some road trips. Do some stuff. Yeah, I really want to...
Do you want to borrow it?
Yeah, I'll borrow it. I want to do some... I want to see it tow the GTR, and I want to tow the Corvette behind. We've got a Chevy truck as well, so it'd be a really cool convoy on the road, I think.
That would be good. Yeah.
That would be cool.
So what does this year hold for you then? Obviously Goodwood.
Yeah, hopefully Goodwood. With the Corvette, some demo events, probably like Jap Fest, all those events. Anything where the Corvette, we want to go to events where there's a crowd. It costs a lot to run that car, and it is the marketing piece, so we're going to take it where there's people. It's not going to go into competition. We're going to use the S14 and run probably most likely Drift Pro with that.
Yeah.
And then, obviously have to do some work in between. So, we'll see what's left on the calendar. I've got a list of events that I want to do. That's quite cool with drifting. You can find little events here and there to do. And that's part of fun. It's all an adventure of getting to these places.
With all these brands and all these events, you must be incredibly busy, wearing lots of different hats.
Yeah, that is a problem. I do feel a bit like, trying to focus on one thing can be hard. I really enjoyed working on the Corvette on those intense months, because it was just this is 100% focus. I just stopped work for a month and we just nailed it, and that was good.
And the business kept going whilst
luckily, you were... it kept going. Obviously, there was some stuff that had to be done, but there's a lot of hats to be worn, but lots of opportunity with that as well. So there's lots of cool brands like Sonax we've got, which is quite a new brand for us. A huge brand in the world of car care. Yeah. In the UK, it's relatively small, so I'm looking forward to building that brand up. The products are fantastic. It's another product that Bagsy has been sponsored with for a long time, so again, we have a good relationship through that, so I look forward to kind of working on that. That's probably one of the highlights for work I'm looking forward to, really developing that brand in the same way as we have some of the other brands.
Excellent stuff. Well, it sounds like you've got a lot on your plate.
Yeah. I've got a very understanding wife.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised I didn't get divorced during the Corvette. She's built. So then I've got a little daughter now. So I've been chilling out a little bit more, pushing the drift cars in the garage, leaving them there for a while, but bringing it out for this show has been, a good
fantastic stuff. Thank you so much, Axel, for coming to talk to us.
Yeah, no problem.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.
And stay tuned. We'll be back around 2 o'clock with another victim right here in the Control Live Lounge. We'll see you soon.